side by side. Just imagine the sheer power of that bite. Those massive jaws were armed with approximately 276 teeth. Based on modern reconstructions, the bite force of Megalodon was possibly the strongest of any known animal. A modern human can exert a bite force of around 300 newtons. Great white sharks, fearsome predators in their own right, can bite with a force of over 18,000 newtons. But the Megalodon? It shattered all known records with an estimated bite force up to 10 times greater than that of a great white. It could literally crush a car with almost no effort. Like modern sharks, Megalodon possessed an efficient tooth replacement system. With 4 or 5 rows of teeth in its mouth, it acted like a conveyor belt, constantly replacing damaged or worn teeth within approximately 48 hours. This means that an adult Megalodon could have grown several thousand teeth during its lifetime. This constant shedding is why Megalodon teeth are relatively common in the fossil record, allowing us to study these magnificent predators in detail. To fuel its massive body, the Megalodon needed to consume around 2,500 pounds of food per day. That's the equivalent of 1¼ cows every single day. Imagine having to eat 3,300 cans of tuna daily to survive. The name Megalodon itself offers a clue to its nature. Derived from Greek, it means giant tooth. However, the giant shark's full scientific name is more complex. Carcharocles megalodon. But the biggest question remains: are these gigantic predators truly extinct? While most scientists believe so, let's consider this. We know more about the surface of Mars than the depths of our own oceans. We've only explored about 15% of our oceans. Who knows what ancient predators might still lurk in the unexplored depths? Consider the Mariana Trench, the deepest oceanic trench on Earth. Its deepest point, the Challenger Deep, is so profound that Mount Everest could be submerged within it, with over a mile to spare above its peak. If a megalodon or two needed a place to disappear, that would be a sufficiently discreet location. However, the Mariana Trench is not a hospitable environment. It's perpetually cold, shrouded in complete darkness, with temperatures hovering around 36 Celsius year-round. Furthermore, the pressure is a crushing 1,000 times greater than at sea level. It's safe to assume that any megalodon hiding there would face significant challenges. The intense pressure could cause proteins and calcium to dissolve and disintegrate. The deepest dwelling fish we've discovered, the Hadal snailfish, has evolved to feature flexible cartilage instead of bones to survive there. To survive in the Mariana Trench, the megalodon would also need to navigate in complete darkness, potentially evolving bioluminescence or developing massive eyes, similar to a giant squid. While this scenario might make for an intriguing movie plot, most scientists consider it highly unlikely. The primary reason: the megalodon's size. Most of the prey that megalodons favored lived in shallower ocean areas, not in the crushing depths of the trenches. Venture into the crushing depths of the ocean, a realm of eternal twilight where secrets lie buried beneath unimaginable pressure. Experts largely agree that if the colossal megalodon, Carcharocles megalodon, still patrolled these waters, its presence would be undeniable. These apex predators would inevitably need to surface, breaking the waves to hunt, their massive forms impossible to ignore. But what led to the demise of this underwater titan? The answer, it seems, lies in the very food it depended upon. While some researchers propose that a significant drop in ocean temperatures contributed to the megalodon's extinction, the prevailing scientific theory points to a disruption in the ancient marine food web. Imagine a world where the megalodon's primary prey, the majestic baleen whales, began to dwindle in numbers. At the same time, its competitors, the smaller, more agile predatory sharks like the great white, Carcharodon carcharias, and even certain whale species, experienced a population boom. This shift in the balance of power ultimately spelled doom for the megalodon. Consider this. The megalodon reigned over the oceans for an astounding 20 million years. That's nearly 70 times longer than modern humans, Homo sapiens, who only appeared on Earth roughly 300,000 years ago. The megalodon's immense size was undoubtedly a key factor in its long reign. Picture a creature so vast it could make a meal of almost anything that swam within its domain. While both megalodon and dinosaurs evoke images of the prehistoric world, these giants never shared the Earth at the same time. The dinosaurs vanished in a cataclysmic extinction event approximately 66 million years ago, marking the end of the Cretaceous period. The megalodon, however, emerged later. The oldest megalodon fossils, discovered to date, originate from the Miocene epoch, a geological period that began around 23 million years ago. So, while dinosaurs ruled the land, the megalodon's time came later, in the vast, unexplored depths of the prehistoric seas. A truly staggering reign for the long-gone Meg. All the ice covering Antarctica were to melt. Global sea levels would rise by approximately 200 feet. But it wasn't always a frozen wasteland. Imagine a time, millions of years ago, when Antarctica enjoyed temperatures similar to those of modern-day Melbourne. Through painstaking research, scientists have determined that temperatures on the Antarctic continent may have soared to 62.6 degrees Fahrenheit during a period 40 to 50 million years in the past. Consider this. Dinosaurs still walked the Earth during that distant epoch. Time itself possesses a unique quality on this icy landmass. All the lines of longitude, those invisible markers we use to calculate time zones, converge at a single point. The South Pole. Here, the rhythm of the year is marked by 6 months of perpetual daylight during the summer, followed by 6 months of unbroken darkness in the winter. To maintain some semblance of normalcy, scientists stationed here often adhere to the time zone of their home countries. Now picture this: blood falls. This isn't a scene from a suspense thriller, but rather a series of vividly colored waterfalls cascading down the Taylor Glacier in one of Antarctica's driest regions, the McMurdo Dry Valleys. These crimson flows originate from a subterranean lake teeming with unique bacteria. These microscopic organisms utilize sulfates instead of sugars as their primary energy source, making them a subject of intense scientific interest. The water within this hidden lake is saturated with iron, which oxidizes upon exposure to the air, resulting in the fall's distinctive reddish hue and their macabre name. Let's shift our focus to a creature of the more distant past, the megalodon, Otodus megalodon. This colossal shark was the largest marine predator ever to stalk the oceans. The megalodon inhabited nearly every ocean on the planet, with one notable exception: the frigid polar waters. The absence of megalodon teeth in Antarctic sediments suggests that this gigantic predator was specifically adapted to thrive in warm, tropical, and subtropical environments. If you ever find yourself planning a voyage to Antarctica, keep in mind that a standard boat simply won't do. Your vessel must possess a hull constructed of either steel or aluminum to endure the continent's notoriously harsh weather conditions. Antarctica isn't exactly a haven for insect life. In fact, only one true insect species has managed to colonize this icy realm, the wingless midge, Belgica antarctica. This tiny fly, measuring a mere 0.8 to 2.3 inches in length, holds the distinction of being Antarctica's largest terrestrial animal. Many Antarctic fish possess a remarkable adaptation, an antifreeze-like substance in their blood. This isn't solely for protection against the extreme cold, but also to prevent ice crystals from forming within their tissues upon contact with ice. These natural antifreezes consist of large glycoprotein molecules that encircle any nascent ice crystals, preventing their propagation and potential damage to the fish's cells. Furthermore, these molecules act as a buffer, cushioning the sharp edges of the ice crystals and minimizing any potential pain. Rainfall is scarce in Antarctica, but the continent boasts another captivating meteorological phenomenon: diamond dust. This dust is composed of minuscule ice crystals that precipitate from humid air near the ground. Imagine it as a shimmering, icy fog. As these crystals drift through the air and catch the sunlight, they erupt in a dazzling display of sparkles, creating the illusion of being surrounded by countless diamonds. Antarctica might seem like the least likely place to give birth, but in 1978, Emilio Marcos Palma became the first person ever born on the continent. Since then, approximately 10 other births have been recorded in Antarctica. Deep beneath the ice, there lies a lake so saturated with salt that it defies freezing, even when temperatures plummet to a frigid 5 degrees Fahrenheit. Pure water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, but the presence of salt or any other solute disrupts this process and lowers the freezing point. The degree to which the freezing point is lowered depends on the specific substance and its concentration within the water. Antarctica holds the distinction of being the last continent to be officially discovered, remaining unseen until the 1820s. However, it took another 2 decades to definitively confirm its continental status, dispelling the notion that it was merely a collection of icy islands. Just because it's bitterly cold doesn't mean romance can't blossom. One December night, an American scientist stationed in Antarctica decided to log onto a dating app out of sheer curiosity. He fully expected to find no other profiles in this desolate location. To his astonishment, he encountered another researcher stationed nearby. Imagine this. After a mere 45-minute helicopter ride, destiny unfolds, and they embark on their first-ever date on the icy continent of Antarctica. Beyond the endless ice, this land holds a secret, a greater abundance of meteorites than anywhere else on Earth. Scientific research reveals that meteorites have an equal chance of landing anywhere on our planet. However, the journey through our atmosphere changes everything. Climates brimming with moisture and oxygen, like those found in lush jungles, corrode these celestial visitors. But Antarctica, with its exceptionally dry climate, offers near-perfect preservation. Corrosion is virtually non-existent. What's more, spotting these dark rocks against the stark white canvas of ice is far easier than anywhere else on the globe. If you dare to brave the cold, prepare for the legendary Antarctic winds. This continent is, for the most part, the windiest place on the planet. Wind speeds here have been clocked at a staggering 200 miles/minute. Life in Antarctica revolves around scientific pursuits. You might catch a glimpse of adorable penguins and seals, or even spot a whale breaching the surface. This vast, icy expanse is primarily inhabited by scientists and researchers from every corner of the world. These dedicated scientists once drilled deep into the thick ice, seeking to unlock the secrets of ancient air and the atmosphere's self-cleansing mechanisms. Using specialized drills, they created a pristine cylindrical hole, plunging 450 feet below the surface. Some of this ice is an astounding 800,000 years old, a frozen time capsule revealing the climate of bygone eras. It's akin to reading tree rings to discern a tree's age, but far more intricate. After this feat of icy excavation, they decided to drop a chunk of ice into the abyss, eager to witness what would transpire. What followed was a chorus of utterly bizarre sounds. It was as if they were aboard a spaceship, hurtling through an asteroid field, bombarded by countless impacts. The pitches shifted rapidly as the ice plummeted, starting with high-frequency tones and culminating in a low, almost heartbeat-like thrum. Initially perplexed, the scientists repeated the experiment, dropping more ice, only to find that the same symphony of strange sounds arose, albeit with different variations. They were left to wonder what lurked in the depths, and more importantly, what generated these eerie noises. Antarctica conceals numerous volcanoes, many buried beneath colossal ice sheets. Scientists have identified 91 volcanoes and suspect there may be even more, potentially making this the most volcanically dense region on Earth. During routine research, they stumbled upon unmistakable massive cone-shaped structures hidden beneath the ice. Some were entombed as deep as 2 miles within the frozen landscape. The peaks of these hidden giants soared over 3,000 feet, spanning dozens of miles in diameter. Yet, the surface remained as featureless as a blank page. It's conceivable that the ice block was dropped into an actual volcano concealed beneath their feet, but highly improbable. Although the presence of these subterranean volcanoes was discovered by chance, there's a slim chance they were standing directly on one while conducting their research. More likely, they chose a location where studying ancient climates is less hazardous and more straightforward than elsewhere. They meticulously collect ice samples, scrutinizing them within the confines of a lab. This process is akin to unearthing a prehistoric insect perfectly preserved in amber for millions of years, a relic from when dinosaurs like Tyrannosaurus rex, and Triceratops horridus roamed the Earth. However, instead of ancient bugs, scientists analyze minute particles, ancient dust, trapped air bubbles, sea salts, volcanic ash, and any other remnants of the environment. They can essentially reconstruct the climate of a specific period. These ice samples might reveal that Antarctica's western ice sheet melted during a period of global warming in Earth's history. If this proves true, it suggests a recurrence is possible. Such an event would trigger rising sea levels, threatening coastal cities and vulnerable island nations. However, scientists remain uncertain despite some supporting evidence. The analysis of ice samples can span from a week to an entire year, contingent on the discoveries made. They meticulously crush or melt the sample, layer by one final stop, resulting in a comprehensive depiction of the canyon. Studying this feature is now helping scientists gain a deeper understanding of glacial history and the complex interactions between the Antarctic ice sheet and the surrounding ocean. Finally, consider Lake Enigma, a frozen lake in Antarctica. For a long time, it was believed to be entirely solid ice. However, during one expedition, researchers discovered a layer of liquid water, approximately 12 meters deep, beneath the thick ice cap. To further investigate this phenomenon, they drilled through the ice and imagine journeying to the hidden depths beneath the Antarctic ice, where Italian scientists deployed a specialized camera. Their mission? To unveil the secrets lurking in Lake Enigma. The water here, believed to originate from the nearby amorphous glacier via clandestine underground channels, teems with peculiar microbial life. These minute organisms form expansive mats across the lakebed. Some appear as delicate, spiky formations, while others resemble crumpled carpets or even miniature tree-like structures reaching up to 16 inches in height. Remarkably, many of these microbes, like plants, harness the power of photosynthesis to produce their own sustenance, resulting in an oxygen-rich environment within the lake. One of the most astounding revelations was the discovery of a microbe typically found in oxygen-deprived environments. Lake Enigma, therefore, might mirror conditions found on icy moons like Europa or Enceladus. This suggests that these celestial bodies may also harbor hidden reservoirs of water beneath their icy crusts, potentially teeming with microbial life. Adding to Antarctica's mystique, minute fragments of amber have been unearthed within mudstone, a first for the region. After years of meticulous examination of exceptionally preserved fossilized roots, pollen, and spores discovered back in 2017, scientists have confirmed that resin-producing trees once flourished in Antarctica. These trees were part of a vibrant rainforest that thrived near the South Pole during the mid-Cretaceous period. Back then, these trees faced months of perpetual darkness during the extended Antarctic winters. Scientists propose that they adapted by entering a prolonged dormant state. The amber fragments, though small, exhibit stunning shades of yellow and orange, with textured surfaces revealing the resin's flow from the trees. This resin likely served as a defense mechanism against insects. Its preservation was facilitated by rapid submersion in water, shielding it from sunlight and air. In another fascinating discovery, a scientist, while scrutinizing satellite imagery for telltale brown trails of penguin waste, stumbled upon 4 previously unknown emperor penguin colonies scattered across the continent. These new colonies likely have existed for years, although 3 of them are relatively small, with fewer than 1,000 breeding penguins each. Each of the newly discovered colonies was situated near the Lazarev ice shelf, the site of a larger penguin colony. It was wrongly presumed that this colony went extinct in 2019. It now appears that the penguins simply relocated in response to shifting sea ice conditions. Studying these resilient creatures can provide invaluable insights into how emperor penguins adapt to environmental changes. Furthermore, evidence suggests that a colossal river system once coursed through Antarctica approximately 40 million years ago. Researchers unearthed proof of its existence through the analysis of soft sediments and hardened rocks retrieved from the frozen seabed. By examining trace amounts of radioactive elements, such as uranium and lead, they determined that the deeper sediments originated from the age of dinosaurs. The sediments closer to the surface were younger and exhibited patterns characteristic of river deltas, akin to those seen in the Mississippi River or the Rio Grande today. Microscopic traces of life were also detected within the sand. This ancient river, originating in the Trans-Antarctic Mountains, meandered for an impressive 930 miles before emptying into the sea. Researchers continue to study more recent sediment layers dating back roughly 20 million years, hoping to glean insights into future global weather patterns. Consider Lake Enigma, a name that perfectly captures its enigmatic nature. Its very existence defies expectations, and now we find that it harbors life deep within its icy embrace. This extraordinary discovery may hold the key to aiding NASA's quest for extraterrestrial life. This lake is hidden deep within the icy heart of Antarctica. It is not a pond of water as we imagine, but more of a lake-like block of ice. But recently, Italian scientists discovered a secret body of water, and life is thriving in this water. The water holds various microorganisms and even some weird little hunters. This is super weird since Enigma sits in a remote and harsh corner of our planet, the northern Victoria Land in Antarctica. The entire South Pole is cold. In this place, temperatures can plummet to a horrifying minus 41 Growler Fahrenheit, though on average it's around 70 Growler Fahrenheit. This lake shouldn't even be there at all. Antarctica is technically the largest desert on Earth, even though it's covered in snow. Imagine a place of stark desolation, a landscape where dryness reigns supreme. Here, rainfall is virtually non-existent, snowfall a mere whisper, and the sun's relentless glare evaporates any moisture with brutal efficiency. Even the slightest trace of water is snatched away by ferocious winds that scour the land, leaving nothing but parched earth. Now consider this. Enigma Lake. Logic dictates that such a lake, exposed to these unforgiving conditions, should lose an unimaginable amount of water each year. We're talking about a staggering 7 million cubic feet vanishing into thin air. Yet, defying all expectations, the water remains. The lake persists. Why? This is a mystery that has baffled scientists for years. Some speculate that a hidden subterranean source constantly replenishes the lake. Perhaps deep underground rivers, fed by melting ice, or some other unknown phenomenon, are at play. But as of now, the true source remains elusive, hence the fitting name, Enigma Lake. Adding to the enigma is a colossal block of ice, a permanent fixture of the lake. This icy behemoth is at least 36 feet thick, towering higher than a 3-story building. Intrigued, researchers decided to probe what lay beneath this frozen fortress. They employed a ground-penetrating radar, a sophisticated echo detection system designed for subterranean exploration. This device emits invisible radio waves that pierce the earth. When these waves encounter something, rock, water, or any other buried object, they bounce back to the radar. By meticulously measuring the time it takes for the signal to return and analyzing its strength, scientists can determine the distance to the object and its composition. Nature itself pioneered this ingenious technique. Bats, whales, and dolphins use similar echolocation to navigate and see underwater. We humans, ever the imitators, have adapted this natural marvel to explore hidden caves and buried structures. Scientists systematically scanned the entire surface of Enigma Lake with this device, meticulously mapping the hidden world beneath the ice and water. What they discovered was astonishing. It wasn't secret monsters or extraterrestrial artifacts, unfortunately. Instead, they found a unique ecosystem teeming with microorganisms that may exist nowhere else on Earth. Somehow, these resilient creatures have carved out a niche for themselves in this isolated, frigid environment. These aren't entirely unfamiliar organisms, mind you. We've encountered their kind before, but never quite like this. There are a few key groups that call this place home. First, there are the Bacteroidata. These microscopic recyclers excel at breaking down complex molecules, particularly in your gut. They're the unsung heroes of digestion, helping us process tough plant fibers. While they primarily reside within us, they can occasionally be found in soils and oceans. Then come the actinobacteria, the genius chemists of the bacterial world. They decompose organic matter, enriching the soil. They are also renowned for producing antibiotics, a debt we owe them for much of our modern medicine. The third group, the Pseudomonodota, wasn't a complete surprise. These are the ultimate adapters, capable of thriving in a wide range of environments, from soil and water to the human body. Some are beneficial, aiding plant growth and nutrient cycles. Others, however, can be opportunistic pathogens, the bad guys. But the real surprise? Enigma Lake is teeming with bacteria. These are ultra-small organisms, even by microorganism standards. They are so limited in their capabilities that they prefer to live in symbiosis with other organisms or as tiny parasites, relying on their hosts for nutrients and other essential resources. These microscopic inhabitants may be ancient, remnants of a time before the lake froze over completely, hundreds of thousands of years ago. What makes their presence in Enigma Lake so peculiar is the fact that bacteria typically thrive in low-oxygen environments. We've all dreamed of journeying to the Arctic, picturing majestic polar bears playfully navigating ice floes, or witnessing the ethereal dance of the aurora borealis painting the night sky. Now, prepare yourself. A similar trip to Antarctica isn't in your immediate future. Why? Let's delve into the reasons. First, where exactly is Antarctica? It lies in the southern hemisphere, centered around the South Pole. The vast southern ocean encircles it, and an immense ice sheet blankets almost the entire continent, making it one of the most isolated and brutally cold places on Earth. Have you ever personally met someone who's actually visited Antarctica? Probably not. It ranks as one of the least visited spots on our planet, and only a select few intrepid explorers have ever laid eyes on its interior, a seemingly endless expanse of glaciers and icy plains. But believe me, the wildlife and the stark dramatic scenery are truly otherworldly. So, why can't we all just pack our bags and head to Antarctica? To begin with, the environment there is incredibly delicate and vulnerable, easily damaged by human interference. Furthermore, there are no native human populations on the continent. A trip there would be akin to visiting an uninhabited island, a pristine wilderness. And let's not overlook the fact that it's also one of the most expensive destinations imaginable. Despite all this, Antarctica isn't exactly guarded like a high-security military base. However, an international agreement called the Antarctic Treaty is in place. This treaty was created to prevent undesirable activities on the continent and prohibit certain types of testing by member nations. But the most compelling reason we can't simply waltz into Antarctica is that it possesses a fragile ecosystem that demands protection. The treaty explicitly states that Antarctica should be used exclusively for peaceful purposes and remain free from any human activities that could potentially harm the environment. Scientists are still unraveling the mysteries of the continent's unique ecosystem, and our presence, along with our machines, could disrupt the delicate balance that exists there. If you're still determined to visit Antarctica, obtaining permission isn't a simple formality. For example, citizens of the United States are required to complete a special application and submit it to the Office of Ocean and Polar Affairs. And once you arrive, you must adhere to strict guidelines designed to protect the environment, such as avoiding any disturbance to wildlife and refraining from taking souvenirs like rocks, plants, or animals. Now, can you technically live in Antarctica? While there are no explicit laws prohibiting permanent residency, the environment is incredibly hostile and unsuitable for human life. Temperatures can plummet to 76 degrees and even lower, making survival nearly impossible without specialized equipment and extensive experience. Furthermore, the nearest inhabited landmass is over 1,000 miles away, effectively isolating any inhabitants from the rest of the world. Perhaps one day we'll all have the opportunity to visit this extraordinary and captivating continent. But until then, let's admire it from afar, cherishing its pristine beauty and recognizing the importance of preserving its delicate ecosystem. Let's change the subject and delve into the fascinating story of Antarctica's discovery. Unlike other regions of the world that were already inhabited, Antarctica never had a native human population. Ancient Greek philosophers speculated about the existence of this southern landmass, naming it Anteros, meaning opposite the bear. The bears they referenced weren't polar bears, but rather the Great Bear and Little Bear constellations, which are only visible in the northern hemisphere. Thus, the term signifies the land opposite the land of the bear. Whaling and sealing expeditions in the late 1700s and early 1800s ventured further south while rounding Cape Horn at the tip of South America. It was well known that heading further south often meant encountering stronger winds, but also the increased risk of colliding with floating ice of all sizes and facing winds and seas that could pose a significant danger to both the ship and its crew. Captain James Cook holds the distinction of being the first to cross the Antarctic Circle on January 17, 1773, in the Ross Sea region. He reached a point even further south a year later, and although he didn't actually sight land, he came within 50 miles of it and observed deposits of rock embedded in icebergs, providing evidence of a landmass further to the south. The first confirmed sighting of Antarctica is generally credited to have occurred in January 1820, during the voyage of two ships commanded by Captain Fabian Gottlieb von Bellingshausen as part of a 2-year exploratory expedition around the world with the mission of discovering new lands. The captain's ships were the first to have crossed the Antarctic Circle since Cook's voyage. Imagine a world of ice and snow, a land of stark beauty and unforgiving conditions. It wasn't until January 24, 1895, that humans definitively set foot on Antarctica. At Cape Adare, during a voyage aboard the ship Antarctic, led by Henrik Bull, a small party of 6 or perhaps 7 men braved the elements and landed on the shore, marking a pivotal moment in exploration. Now, let's dispel a common misconception. Antarctica is, in fact, a desert. Yes, a desert. Despite the endless ice, it's not the winter wonderland we might imagine. When we think of deserts, images of camels, cacti, and parched landscapes come to mind. Antarctica presents a different reality. The challenge isn't finding water, it's finding anything that isn't encased in ice. The average rainfall is a mere 0.4 inches over the past 30 years, practically nothing. It's the extreme lack of precipitation that defines it as a desert, not scorching heat or towering dunes. But fear not, should you find yourself stranded in Antarctica, thirst won't be your primary concern. Frostbite, however, is a very real threat. Bundle up with a jacket and mittens, because the temperatures here can turn you into a human popsicle in no time. Antarctica isn't just one of the driest places on Earth. It also boasts the titles of coldest, windiest, and highest continent. Talk about a geographical overachiever. Down in Antarctica, penguins and scientists alike face a unique temporal challenge: the absence of a designated time zone. All lines of longitude converge at the South Pole, creating a perplexing situation when trying to determine the correct time. How do researchers keep track of time? They typically adhere to the time zone of their home country. However, with research stations from around the globe dotting the Antarctic Peninsula, things can become rather chaotic. Imagine coordinating with international colleagues without accidentally calling them in the dead of night. One might assume that little could survive in such an extreme environment. Yet life finds a way, even in Antarctica. This frozen continent teems with activity. Billions of krill form the base of the food chain, attracting seals and penguins in staggering numbers. Don't let their adorable appearance fool you. Penguins are exceptional swimmers. With streamlined bodies that would make Olympic athletes envious, they are masters of the Antarctic waters. They waddle ashore to breed and rest, but their true talents lie in aquatic agility, stealing pebbles from each other and forming mathematically precise huddles to conserve warmth. Antarctica is also home to the emperor penguin, Aptenodytes forsteri, the largest penguin species on Earth. These flightless birds may not soar through the sky, but they can leap up to 120 inches with surprising power. And let's not forget the seals, protected by the Antarctic Treaty. These furry marine mammals thrive in the frigid waters of the Southern Ocean. They fill the waters with special songs that echo across the ice. But the true spectacle unfolds during the Antarctic summer, when whales arrive in massive numbers to feast on the abundant krill. It's a veritable whale buffet. Now, let's embark on an adventure to another hidden place on our planet. This is a journey you won't soon forget, but prepare for extreme cold. We're landing on the ice-covered island of Greenland. As you step off the plane, you are greeted by the mesmerizing aurora borealis, also known as the Northern Lights. An unbelievable view unfolds before your eyes. Your guide explains the rarity of this phenomenon, noting that people often spend days trying to witness it. You feel fortunate and pause to appreciate the ethereal dancing greenish lights. Grateful for bringing your camera, you capture the moment. Between snapshots, you learn that the aurora borealis is the result of violent events far beyond our world. This incredible light show occurs when energy particles from the sun collide with Earth's upper atmosphere. On day 2, your exploration of Greenland continues from above. Let's journey to Greenland, one of the world's largest islands, a land dominated by ice and secrets hidden beneath. Imagine yourself aboard a helicopter, the vast, icy landscape stretching out before you in an endless expanse of white. If you're curious about your location, know that we're soaring above 66,000 square miles of solid glacial ice. And what's that we see below? A family of polar bears. Magnificent creatures, but we'll keep a respectful distance, of course. Greenland's harsh conditions might be too severe for human habitation on a large scale, yet certain animal species thrive in this seemingly desolate realm. There, in the distance, reindeer graze, while wolves and Arctic foxes roam the frozen plains. Your journey to Greenland likely included a stopover in Copenhagen. Denmark remains one of the few nations offering commercial flights to this remote island. Perhaps you were unaware that Greenland is actually part of the Kingdom of Denmark. On a map, you'll find it nestled between the Arctic and Atlantic Oceans, a strategic point in the northern seas. We're fortunate to have a local pilot, an expert who unveils the secrets concealed beneath this seemingly uniform scenery. Underneath a 2-meter-thick blanket of ice lies an entirely different world. Imagine a landscape sculpted with immense canyons, impact craters carved by ancient meteors, and plant fossils dating back millennia. You're undoubtedly eager to explore these hidden wonders, but remember, much of it exists only in our imagination, locked away beneath the ice. Believe it or not, nearly 80% of Greenland's surface is entombed in ice. Our first stop, Greenland's very own Grand Canyon. We touched down not far from this geological marvel, somewhere in the northern reaches of the island. You likely know that canyons are deep, narrow valleys characterized by steep sides. But did you know that the word canyon originates from the Spanish word cañón, meaning tube or pipe? This Grand Canyon shares similarities with its namesake in the United States, particularly in its impressive scale. It stretches for at least 460 miles, plunging to depths of up to 2,600 feet in certain areas. A true subglacial valley, carved over eons, lies hidden beneath the ice. How did such a feature form? Scientists believe a mighty river once flowed through Greenland, carving this canyon long before the ice took hold. Ah, yes, Greenland hasn't always been a frozen wasteland. Once it was green, and that's no pun. Many other icy regions on Earth, including Antarctica, were once teeming with lush vegetation. Scientists, using airborne radar technology, have made astounding discoveries, piecing together Greenland's verdant past. Notably, ice is virtually invisible to radar. A recent discovery of fossilized plants has allowed researchers to estimate that Greenland's climate was once far warmer than previously imagined. In 2021, a University of Vermont study unearthed fossils of twigs and leaves, leaving researchers astonished. Instead of the expected sand and rocks in the deepest layers of ice, they found undeniable evidence of a rich flora. Looking at the current landscape, it's difficult to fathom that forests once flourished here. Today, you'll find only sparse tundra vegetation along the coastal fringes of the island. However, based on the genetic material extracted from these fossilized plants, researchers believe the island was once significantly greener. Imagine insect-filled forests with butterflies and beetles flitting through the undergrowth. The average temperature likely ranged from a pleasant 50 degrees in the summer to a chilly 4 degrees in the winter. NASA's Operation Icebridge has conducted over 100 flights over Greenland. These missions have enabled researchers to create detailed 3D maps of the island and determine the age of each layer within Greenland's vast ice sheet. Ice sheets are invaluable archives of scientific data, forming over thousands of years as layers of snow accumulate and compress into ice. Remember those fossils? They're believed to date back to the Eemian period, roughly 130,000 to 115,000 years ago. According to the groundbreaking 3D footage captured by NASA, we can discern three distinct climate periods within the ice sheet. The uppermost layer appears relatively flat and uniform, but if we were to dig deeper, we'd encounter a layer formed during the last ice age, a more complex and rugged stratum. The ice in this layer is noticeably darker than the surface ice. If you let your imagination run wild, you can picture this part of the world as it was when mammoths roamed the land, giants of the Ice Age. Imagine sinking a shovel into the frozen earth of Greenland. Keep digging, and you might just unearth remnants of ancient ice from the Eemian period, a time long past. But the wonders hidden beneath Greenland's icy facade don't stop there. If we could peel back the layers of snow and ice, we would reveal a breathtaking, mountainous landscape, complete with dramatic fjords carved deep into the rock. In 2017, scientists painstakingly constructed a map illustrating Greenland's topography, free from its glacial burden. The map revealed a vast, bowl-shaped depression at the island's heart, likely the basin of a prehistoric lake. Encircling this ancient depression, a ring of coastal mountains rose majestically. Picture this: a landscape mirroring modern-day Patagonia, where towering snow-capped peaks embrace serene, crystalline lakes. This ancient Greenlandic lake is a marvel in itself. Envision a colossal basin, dwarfing even Rhode Island and Delaware combined. This lake, estimated to have spanned over 2,700 square miles, was once nourished by no fewer than 18 individual streams. Those pristine azure waters must have been a sight to behold, even if the temperature was far from inviting. But should you have been tempted to take a dip, be warned. Depths plunge to a staggering 800 feet in places. Now, fast forward to day 3 of our Greenlandic expedition. Here we stumble upon a genuine under-ice water park. As you cautiously navigate the ice-laden terrain, your guide will undoubtedly caution you about the ever-present cracks lacing the surface. These fissures are the architects of a stunning modern phenomenon, an aqua lounge hidden deep below. Meltwater and rainwater trickle down through these cracks, carving pathways to the bedrock below, creating a subterranean realm of jewel-like lakes and streams filled with the purest crystalline water. Researchers believe that approximately 60 of these small subglacial lakes exist, each one a hidden gem. Perhaps one of the most astonishing features concealed beneath Greenland's icy mantle is a colossal meteor crater lurking beneath the Hiawatha Glacier. This impact crater stretches a staggering 19 miles in diameter, large enough to swallow Washington, D.C. whole. It appears that, within the last 100,000 years, an iron asteroid, a mile across, pierced Earth's atmosphere and chose Greenland as its point of impact. Had anyone been there to witness it, they would have been treated to a spectacular display, a blazing white-hot fireball streaking across the heavens. Scientists hypothesize that, had the asteroid struck an ice sheet, it would have instantly vaporized vast quantities of water and rock. An observer standing hundreds of miles from ground zero would have been rocked by a thunderclap of unimaginable force and buffeted by hurricane-strength winds. Consider this. Meteors hurtling through Earth's atmosphere can reach speeds of approximately 45,000 km/h. That's 2.5 times the velocity of a spaceship. Such an impact is guaranteed to generate an unearthly roar and leave an immense scar upon the landscape. Then, there are those moments when individuals, idly exploring Google Earth, stumble upon some of the planet's newest and most perplexing mysteries. Take, for instance, the enigmatic pyramid discovered in Antarctica. Almost immediately, the internet buzzed with theories surrounding this peculiar formation. Could it be a message from an alien civilization? Is this pyramid a natural formation, or was it constructed by intelligent hands? It's worth noting that this isn't the first pyramid-like structure to be found in Antarctica. The first was cited by the British Antarctic expedition in the 1910s, its existence shrouded in secrecy for decades. The clandestine nature of the discovery only deepened the enigma. A second similar structure was unearthed in 2016, further fueling speculation. However, the mystery was eventually unraveled by scientists. These formations are, in fact, simply mountains. They are situated near the Ellsworth Mountains, a range spanning over 250 miles in length. These pyramids are merely mountain peaks that have pierced through the ice sheet. As for their distinctive shape, it is largely coincidental. Pyramid-shaped mountains occur throughout the natural world. The Matterhorn in the Alps and Mount Ballasinder in Iceland, for example, exhibit similar profiles. The official term for these peaks of rock protruding through a glacier or ice sheet is nunatak. Antarctica harbors many more mind-boggling features, including the fact that it safeguards between 60% and 90% of the world's fresh water. This is because its ice sheet is the largest on Earth, stretching across a staggering 5.4 million square miles. I won't bore you with the calculations, but that leaves a mere 1% of the continent ice-free. At its thickest point, Antarctica's ice reaches a depth of 2.7 miles, half the height of Mount Everest. Should that ice ever completely melt? Of course, if over 620 miles beneath the formidable ice. That's a distance comparable to a journey from Paris to Berlin. Rand plunged deeper and ventured farther than anyone could have imagined, penetrating over 10 miles into the glacier's icy embrace. The discoveries made were nothing short of astounding. Scientists anticipated smooth, uniform ice surfaces, but Rand unveiled an intricate world marked by colossal cracks and imposing ridges. There were formations reminiscent of sand dunes, frozen in time, and enigmatic swirling patterns shaped like teardrops. These formations resembled works of art rather than geological features. These strange patterns tell a story of the interaction between the ice shelves and the surrounding ocean. Warm water insinuates itself beneath the ice, melting it from below. Sometimes this process smooths the ice, but other times it sculpts bizarre, uneven shapes that resemble intricate drawings. Some of these formations are truly immense, stretching over 2,300 feet. That's about 3.5 football fields in length. The swirling, doodle-like appearance is due to the Earth's rotation, which causes the water to turn in specific ways, bending the shapes and creating spirals. This phenomenon is known as the Coriolis effect. Imagine being on a merry-go-round and attempting to throw a ball. It would travel in a curve, not a straight line. The same principle applies to the water's movement on Earth. Later, scientists observed similar patterns beneath other Antarctic ice shelves, although none were as dramatic as those found under the Dotson. But Ron also uncovered a chilling truth. These warm waters, while artistic in their effects, pose a grave danger. The Dotson ice shelf is not simply floating serenely on the sea. It is an integral part of a delicate system, acting as a protective barrier that safeguards massive glaciers in West Antarctica. The ice shelf floats upon the ocean, yet it remains connected to the land. As warm water infiltrates and melts the ice, the Dotson loses its grip on the land. The protective barrier weakens, allowing the glaciers behind it to surge more rapidly into the ocean. When these glaciers flow into the sea, they contribute vast amounts of water, potentially causing a rise in sea levels and reshaping our coastlines. Rand stumbled upon vast pockets where the ice was melting at an alarming rate, a consequence of powerful underwater currents. It was akin to witnessing a ticking clock counting down the glacier's demise. The stakes were incredibly high, but fortunately the submarine was up to the task. It successfully returned to base and continued its work for 5 more years, providing scientists with a wealth of invaluable data. The missions were fraught with challenges. There were periods when Rand would descend into the pitch-black abyss beneath the glaciers, enduring 24-hour stretches without communication. Yet, it meticulously mapped every peak and every valley, accumulating experience from over 40 missions beneath the ice. Then, in early 2024, Rand embarked on a mission to the Thwaites Glacier. This mission was particularly daring, as this location is ominously known as the Doomsday Glacier. It bears this name because it is slowly melting, possessing the potential to trigger a global catastrophe by raising sea levels dramatically if it collapses. This is precisely why Rand was dispatched to explore its underbelly, a place. Imagine a feat of exploration, mapping terrain never before seen with such detail. The goal? To unlock the secrets held within the Thwaites Glacier, to understand the speed of its melting and the reasons behind it. This mission marked Rand's second venture into this icy domain. During a previous expedition, it had etched its name in history as the first submersible to meticulously map the glacier's underbelly. Rand plunged into the abyss, exploring depths ranging from 650 to 1,150 feet. It tirelessly transmitted data, revealing the gradual melting of the colossal Doomsday Glacier, a consequence of warm ocean currents relentlessly gnawing at its base. But then, disaster struck. While navigating these frigid depths, Rand vanished without a trace. One moment, it was dutifully sending back crucial data. The next, it had slipped into the icy abyss. No distress signals, no final transmission. Silence. It failed to return to its designated rendezvous point. A massive search operation was launched. Helicopters roared across the skies, while drones meticulously scanned the frozen expanse. Yet, no sign of the submersible emerged from the glacier's icy grip. As time passed, Rand's batteries would have inevitably died, sealing its fate. It was now entombed within the crushing depths, beneath 1,500 feet of ice. This loss was a devastating blow to the scientific team. Now, researchers at the University of Gothenburg are determined to find a replacement for Rand to continue the vital research beneath Thwaites. To this day, the fate of Rand remains shrouded in mystery. Some speculate it became trapped in the labyrinthine ice formations. Others believe it was swept away by an unforeseen current. Still others suggest a collision with an unknown obstacle. Whatever the truth, its disappearance has left the scientific community in stunned silence. It seems the ice shelf will guard its secrets for a while longer. Despite this setback, Rand's journey was not in vain. It provided a treasure trove of invaluable data. And the exploration of Antarctica continues, driven by the desire to uncover the secrets hidden beneath the snow. For example, scientists recently discovered that around 90 million years ago, a lush, temperate rainforest thrived near the South Pole. They unearthed evidence of an ancient world, far warmer than previously imagined. Deep within the Antarctic ice, they discovered fossilized roots, pollen, and spores, perfectly preserved in the soil. This astonishing discovery revealed a swampy rainforest that flourished despite months of polar darkness. These finds are revolutionizing our understanding of Earth's climate, both past and future. Now, let's journey back to a time when colossal creatures roamed the seas. Imagine a predator that dwarfed even the largest modern sharks. This was the megalodon, one of the largest predators to ever exist on our planet. It was longer than a school bus and could weigh as much as 10 elephants. But where did this giant live? How did it attain such immense size? And, most importantly, what led to its extinction? The megalodon, Ototus megalodon, once dominated the world's oceans. Its reign extended across virtually all waters, except for the frigid polar regions. The absence of megalodon teeth in Antarctica suggests that this colossal creature was primarily adapted to warm, tropical, and subtropical environments. The younger megalodons favored coastal waters, while the fully grown adults preferred hunting in deeper offshore areas, but could easily venture into the open ocean in search of prey. The widespread distribution of the megalodon is evidenced by fossil discoveries from around the globe. The northernmost fossils have been found off the coast of Denmark, while the southernmost have been unearthed in New Zealand. The question of how the megalodon attained its immense size remains a topic of ongoing debate within the scientific community. Recent research suggests that not all individuals of this species reach the same gargantuan proportions. This variation in size may be attributed to a principle known as Bergmann's rule, which posits that the temperature of the surrounding environment influences an animal's body size, depending on whether it needs to conserve or dissipate heat. Megalodons inhabiting cooler waters likely required greater body mass to maintain their internal temperature, while those in warmer waters may have been smaller to prevent overheating. What did this enormous fish actually look like? Most modern depictions portray the megalodon as a larger version of the great white shark, but this may not be entirely accurate. The megalodon, Otodus megalodon, likely had a shorter, more flattened snout and a more powerful jaw compared to the great white. It also appears to have shared a characteristic with the modern blue shark, exceptionally long pectoral fins. To stay afloat and maneuver through the vast prehistoric seas, The megalodon, Carcharocles megalodon, needed exceptionally large pectoral fins to support its immense weight and size. And here's something truly astonishing. Female megalodons appear to have been twice the size of their male counterparts. Even juvenile megalodons were formidable creatures. Fossil evidence suggests that newborn megalodons measured at least 6.5 feet from nose to tail, already a significant predator. How do we know this? Paleontologists have discovered several megalodon nursery sites in locations like Panama, Maryland, the Canary Islands, and Florida. Imagine finding a prehistoric shark nursery. But let's be honest, the most terrifying aspect of megalodon was undoubtedly its colossal mouth. This apex predator consumed whales for sustenance, so it needed a mouth capable of engulfing truly massive prey. Scientists estimate that its jaws could span a staggering 9 by 11 feet. To put that into perspective, it could have easily swallowed 2 adult humans. Oceanic trench on Earth, the Mariana Trench. As a quick reminder, the Mariana Trench is a colossal chasm carved into the ocean floor, stretching over 1,500 miles south of Japan. It plunges to a staggering depth of nearly 36,000 feet at its deepest point, the Challenger Deep. To truly grasp the scale of this abyss, consider this. The height of the Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building, is only about 1/10 of the Mariana Trench's immense depth. Now, imagine this. In this dark, crushing abyss, where sunlight fails to penetrate, scientists recorded a truly strange sound. Unlike the bioduct sounds we explored earlier, this sonic anomaly resembled something straight out of a science fiction movie. It began with a low, guttural rumble, a deep-throated groan emanating from the abyss. This was followed by a distinct metallic ping, a sharp, resonant sound strangely reminiscent of the noises made by spaceships in classic sci-fi films. Researchers, understandably intrigued, dubbed this mysterious phenomenon bio-twang noises. Scientists first detected this strange sound back in 2014 during an acoustic survey of the Mariana Trench. After careful analysis, they eventually identified its source. Whales, specifically, bride's whales, Balanoptera edeni. Using sophisticated artificial intelligence algorithms, researchers analyzed an astounding 200,000 hours of audio recordings collected from the ocean depths. The AI was able to identify patterns and match the bio-twang sound with a specific group of bride's whales known to inhabit the area. Like other animals, these whales use sounds as a vital form of communication, a way to navigate, find food, and connect with one another in the vast, echoing ocean. Now, did you know what else was found at the bottom of the Mariana Trench? A plastic bottle. While one might imagine a kraken or some other mythical sea monster responsible for this intrusion, the reality is far more mundane and far more troubling. The bottle ended up there because of human pollution, a stark reminder of our impact on even the most remote corners of the planet. But that's a topic for another video. Okay, let's turn our attention to one more sound, a truly mysterious one. This time, it's not whales. It's just a mysterious sound in the loneliest place on Earth. This place is called Point Nemo. 1:15:49, and that's precisely why it sits in such stark isolation. Point Nemo, adrift in the vastness of the South Pacific, claims the title of Earth's most remote location. The nearest landmass lies a staggering 1,450 nautical miles distant. Imagine, that's roughly the same immense distance in every direction. Furthermore, life struggles to gain a foothold here. The scarcity of water currents reaching this desolate spot means a severe lack of vital nutrients. It's truly a marine desert, an aquatic void. 1:16:16. Then, in 1997, oceanographers monitoring this watery wilderness captured an unsettling and profoundly strange sound emanating from the ocean's dark abyss near Point Nemo. 1:16:30. It was something colossal, something terrifying. The sound was quickly dubbed the bloop. As soon as the news hit the press, wild speculation exploded across the globe. The most sensational theory, that the bloop was the call of a gargantuan sea monster, a modern-day kraken, or some other unimaginable leviathan lurking in the depths. 1:16:50, but the frenzy surrounding the bloop was short-lived. Science, as it often does, stepped in to demystify the unknown. It turned out the source of the mysterious sound was far less fantastical: an iceberg. When these colossal ice mountains fracture and collapse, they unleash powerful, ultra-low frequency sounds that can travel immense distances through the ocean. 1:17:08. To confirm this explanation, scientists recorded the underwater sounds of other icebergs. The result: sounds strikingly similar to the infamous bloop. Oh, and a curious side note. Point Nemo's isolation makes it an ideal target for space agencies looking to dispose of obsolete satellites. Here, decommissioned spacecraft are deliberately crashed into the ocean. There's a calculated 99% certainty that any falling debris will cause no harm to animal or human life in this remote location. Hence, its somewhat morbid nickname, the Satellite Cemetery. 1:17:32. But what if, someday, a spacecraft from another world were to plummet into Point Nemo's waters? What if such a vessel has already crashed there and occasionally emits a distress signal that barely penetrates the ocean's surface? A chilling thought, indeed. 1:17:48. All the mysteries you've encountered thus far have been solved. So, how about we conclude with a mystery that continues to perplex scientists to this day? 1:18:06. Prepare yourself for upsweep, one of the most enigmatic sounds ever recorded in the ocean. This isn't just random noise. It's a distinct series of narrow-band frequency-ascending tones, repeating at intervals of several seconds. Upsweep was first detected in 1991, using hydrophones strategically placed across the Pacific Ocean. 1:18:21. Initially, oceanographers proposed that upsweep might be linked to volcanic activity or underwater seismic events. However, the seasonal nature of the sound, its intensity fluctuating with the time of year, effectively ruled out these geological explanations. This led researchers to consider biological origins. 1:18:40. They meticulously investigated the migration patterns of marine animals and their behaviors throughout the year. Yet, despite exhaustive efforts, the source of upsweep remains elusive. Some studies suggest a connection to specific species of fish or other marine creatures that use sound for communication or navigation. But as of yet, no definitive proof has emerged. 1:19:05. Now, cast your gaze upon this unassuming rock. At first glance, it appears to be an utterly ordinary stone, the kind you might find scattered along any beach. Its coloration is unremarkable, and its weight, around 4 pounds, is nothing exceptional. But that perception dramatically shifts when you discover this rock was born on Mars, traversed the vast gulf of space, and ultimately landed in Antarctica. 1:19:30. Suddenly, the story becomes infinitely more compelling. Let's delve into the details. Researcher Roberta Score, a member of the ANSMET project, Antarctic Search for Meteorites, a division of the U.S. Antarctic Program, stumbled upon this remarkable meteorite in 1984. 1:19:42. If you're curious about deciphering the space traveler's rather cryptic name, I can assist. It's derived from the location where Roberta discovered it, the Allen Hills region of Antarctica, hence ALH. Then follows the year of discovery and a sequential sample number. 120. Now, if you're picturing Roberta picking up the rock and exclaiming, "Eureka! I'm holding a piece of Mars," prepare for a slight disappointment. In the beginning, the meteorite's origin was entirely unknown. One particular characteristic baffled researchers. Its composition differed significantly from that of all other meteorite groups previously found on Earth. 1:20:18. So, how did they eventually determine it was an extraterrestrial visitor from Mars? The answer lies in the traces of gas trapped within the rock, gases with a composition strikingly similar to that of the Martian atmosphere. We know the atmospheric composition of Mars thanks to the intrepid Viking landers, which conducted the necessary atmospheric analysis on the Red Planet. Let's turn our attention back to a remarkable discovery made in 1976. We're talking about a rock of truly extraordinary origin. Among the thousands of meteorites discovered on Earth, only a select few, around 100, are believed to have originated from Mars. But this particular specimen is unique, distinct even from other Martian meteorites, forming its own separate classification. Imagine traveling back billions of years to trace the origins of this cosmic wanderer. Its story begins roughly 4 billion years ago on the red planet Mars. On what seemed like an ordinary day, an event occurred that would forever alter the destiny of this unassuming rock. A massive meteorite impact violently ejected it into space, initiating its long, solitary voyage as a small asteroid. At the time of its ejection, this Martian rock was significantly larger than the fragment we discovered on Earth. Over eons, it journeyed through the solar system. At one point, this space traveler approached our own planet, Earth, perhaps drawn by an unknown cosmic curiosity. Around 13,000 years ago, its epic journey ended in a fiery collision with our planet, embedding itself in the icy landscape. This fragment of Mars represents the oldest piece of the red planet we currently possess. Initially, it didn't garner much attention. It wasn't until 1996 that it rose to prominence, thanks to a groundbreaking discovery. NASA researchers began to investigate. Could this ancient fragment contain traces of past Martian life from when it was formed? The scientists were right. They detected the presence of incredibly small magnetite particles. These particles exhibited a structure and chemical makeup strikingly similar to those produced by magnetotactic bacteria here on Earth, known as magnetofossils. This suggested the tantalizing possibility that microbial life may, swamps, forests, and a vibrant menagerie of insects and animals thrived. Now, it mostly resembles the frozen end of the world. Imagine venturing to the most remote corners of our planet, places so alien they mirror the very surface of Mars. Indeed, scientists and even astronauts themselves hone their skills in regions like the McMurdo Dry Valleys. These Antarctic landscapes offer a stark, Mars-like environment, perfect for simulating the challenges of life on the red planet. So, before embarking on a mission to Mars, one can first practice survival in these earthly yet otherworldly locales. But the wonders of Antarctica don't end there. Picture this, a hidden underwater realm teeming with life discovered beneath the ice. Here, hundreds of amphipods, small crustacean animals resembling shrimp, thrive in the frigid depths. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, the McMurdo Dry Valleys are also in Antarctica, right? It's easy to get these polar regions mixed up. Let's clarify. The Antarctic encompasses the southernmost part of our planet, housing the vast continent of Antarctica. The Arctic, on the other hand, is a completely separate domain, sharing similar icy and snowy conditions but located at the North Pole. So, the Arctic sits atop the world, while Antarctica anchors the bottom. But back to our incredible discovery. Scientists have long theorized that a vast network of freshwater rivers and lakes lies hidden beneath Antarctica's icy shell. In 2022, their suspicions were confirmed with the discovery of a brand new ecosystem. Researchers delved into the Antarctic raw ice shelf, exploring its underwater rivers. A colossal piece of ice adrift in the ocean. A team from New Zealand employed a specialized drilling rig equipped with a hot water system to bore a hole an astounding 1,640 feet deep, taller than the Empire State Building itself. Lowering video cameras into the abyss, they witnessed a swirling mass of thousands of crustaceans, swimming in every direction, seemingly without a leader. And in these Antarctic waters, you might also encounter some of the planet's most unsettling creatures. Sea spiders. Named for their resemblance to land-dwelling spiders, they are, in fact, a unique species of marine arthropods. Unlike their terrestrial counterparts, these ocean-going spiders can grow to an enormous size. Imagine 8 long, spindly legs stretching out from a barely there body. One of these creatures could easily fill a dinner plate. Some are eyeless, while others possess proboscis-like mouths instead of jaws. Sea spiders remain largely a mystery, dwelling in the deep, frigid waters that shroud Antarctica's secrets. Antarctica hides many little-known animals. There are long tunnels in its glaciers leading to scary darkness. On this cold continent, people have found the remains of giant dinosaurs and other ancient creatures, such as the ancestors of modern ducks. Many underground rivers and lakes hide unexplored wildlife. Even the ice itself can be bizarre. Take a look at these striped icebergs. They boast a spectrum of colors: blues, blacks, greens, and turquoises. The hue depends on the specific conditions of the water during freezing. Green stripes, for example, often indicate the presence of algae, while blue stripes form when the water freezes with exceptional speed. Okay, the cold is getting to us. Time to thaw out somewhere warmer, like Hawaii. Imagine diving into the dark and icy waters of Antarctica. The eerie blue-tinged darkness envelops you, reminiscent of the vast emptiness of space. In these depths, where you least expect to find life, you suddenly hear a strange, loud sound, a quacking noise, as if a colossal duck were lurking in the abyss. In 1960, researchers first documented this peculiar sound, dubbing it bioduck. Rather clever, isn't it? For decades, they grappled with the mystery of its origin. Was it a giant kraken? A spaceship from another world that had plunged into the ocean? A mysterious sea monster? Or perhaps an enormous duck? Theories abounded, each more outlandish than the last. Oceanographers even detected similar sounds in other locations, off the western coast of Australia and near New Zealand. These signals, however, were of a higher pitch and were aptly named biogoose. It seems the creepy atmosphere of the story disappears with such names. Regardless, this was not an isolated incident. These sounds occurred repeatedly, with consistent intervals. Many initially suspected a mechanical source, given the regularity of the sounds. However, studying the oceans in the latter half of the 20th century was a formidable challenge, hampered by limited technology. Nevertheless, scientists persevered, diligently collecting data on bioduck and biogoose, driven by their insatiable curiosity. As the data accumulated, so did the theories. Eventually, scientists uncovered the truth and solved the mystery. The bioduck turned out to be a form of communication, but the story doesn't end there. Further analysis revealed that these repeating underwater sounds possessed a biological signature. Imagine for a moment researchers poring over spectrograms, meticulously dissecting the audio. They noticed something remarkable. The signals never overlapped. It was as if each sound source politely waited its turn, one speaking while the others remained silent. This strongly suggested a sophisticated form of communication, a structured dialogue beneath the waves. The burning question, of course, was, which creature of the deep possessed such an extraordinary method of communicating through varied and complex sound frequencies? The answer, as many suspected, lay with the majestic whales. Scientists embarked on a mission comparing these mysterious bioduck sounds from Antarctica with the known calls of minke whales, Balanoptera acuta. The similarities were striking, undeniable. The biogoose sounds emanating from the waters of Australia and New Zealand, however, likely belong to other whale species, or perhaps very young minke whales still learning the nuances of their vocalizations. But this discovery only deepened the enigma. What purpose did these ethereal sounds serve? Were the whales discussing the best krill patches for their next meal? Perhaps they were sharing a whale-sized laugh at the clumsy humans attempting to record their voices. Or, more profoundly, were they exchanging deep insights about the universe, secrets whispered across the vast oceanic expanse? The possibilities seemed endless, limited only by the scope of human imagination. The most astonishing revelation was the tantalizing possibility that humans might one day bridge the communication gap and truly converse with these magnificent creatures. This wasn't mere science fiction. The first steps had already been taken. Communicating with whales is no longer a far-fetched fantasy. Scientists from the University of California have already achieved a remarkable milestone, establishing contact with a humpback whale, Megaptera novae, named Twain, in a groundbreaking experiment. Imagine that, a 20-minute conversation with a whale. Here's how they accomplished this incredible feat. The specialists embarked on a marine expedition to the rugged coast of Alaska, a haven for humpback whales. There, they meticulously recorded the complex songs and calls of a group of these gentle giants. Then, using powerful underwater speakers, they played these recorded sounds back into the ocean, sending a clear signal into the whale's own domain. The recorded sounds resembled a greeting, a friendly, "Hey, what's up?" but translated into the intricate language of whales. These greetings are typically used by whales to call out to each other, to announce their location, or simply to acknowledge their presence. The response was almost immediate. Soon after sending the signals, the researchers received an answer. Twain, the humpback, approached the boat, circled it curiously, and replied with a hey of its own, a vocalization that mirrored the researchers' broadcast. This marked the beginning of the first ever documented human-whale conversation. For a remarkable 20 minutes, the scientists sent a total of 36 signals to Twain. Each and every time, the whale responded in kind, engaging in a back-and-forth exchange. Moreover, Twain displayed an almost courtly level of patience and attentiveness. The team would send a signal, receive a response from the whale, wait a deliberate 10 seconds, and then transmit another sound. The researchers observed that Twain consistently mirrored this timing, waiting approximately 10 seconds before answering each time. It seemed that Twain was a remarkably delicate interlocutor, a true gentleman of the whale world. Or perhaps it was simply deeply intrigued by this unusual interaction, this strange new voice echoing through its ocean home. The signals used in this communication were specific to the group of whales that included Twain. It's highly probable that the researchers had, in fact, recorded Twain's own unique vocalizations and cleverly used them to communicate with him. In a sense, Twain was conversing with himself, a mirror image of his own voice bouncing back from the human world. Now, let's continue our journey into the extreme depths and venture into the deepest. Fool you, those plumes could spell disaster. Imagine the smoke, thick and acrid, billowing into the sky, spreading for hundreds of miles, a choking blanket that could ground aircraft thousands of miles away. A glance at your fellow scientists confirms your fears. It's time to evacuate. Time to follow the example of the penguins and make for the open water. But the seas are churning, whipped into a frenzy, and the earth groans and trembles beneath your feet. More smoke erupts, not just from the initial site, but from multiple locations all over the continent. A hasty retreat to the boat is the only option. It's a painful decision, abandoning valuable equipment, but survival demands it. Every extra pound could be the difference between life and death. You pull away from the coast, and a glance back reveals a horrifying panorama. A dark, suffocating curtain of smoke engulfing the entire continent. Volcanic eruptions are not a one-size-fits-all event. They range from relatively gentle lava flows to cataclysmic explosions. Some volcanoes spew rivers of molten rock, while others unleash clouds of ash and gas. The nature of an eruption depends on many factors. The surrounding environment, the amount of dissolved gases in the magma, the presence of groundwater, and even the chemical composition of the molten rock itself. Here, you'd likely witness a terrifying variety of eruptions, each more dangerous than the last. You escape the immediate danger of the Antarctic mainland, but you are still surrounded by treacherous lagoons and towering icebergs. The boat strains against the waves as you navigate through the debris-filled waters. Volcanic ash rains down, coating everything in a gritty layer. The sun is blotted out, plunging the world into an unnatural twilight. Volcanic ash, composed of tiny shards of rock and glass, is more than just a nuisance. Depending on the particle size and concentration, it can cause everything from minor lung and eye irritation to the complete destruction of vegetation and crops. These ashfalls are often incredibly dense. A thick layer can collapse roofs and block roads, crippling infrastructure. The ash contaminates the water, threatening aquatic life. And that flicker in the sky? It's not your imagination. Volcanic ash clouds are electrically charged, generating powerful electrical fields that unleash terrifying lightning storms. These storms can interfere with radio communications and ignite fires, adding another layer of chaos to the already apocalyptic scene. The ash clouds themselves are superheated, adding to the risk of fire. But some volcanoes don't just spew ash, they hurl rocks. Superheated rubble rains down from the sky like a meteor shower, each piece a potential projectile capable of inflicting serious injury. You watch as these fiery rocks slam into the surrounding ice and water. Finally, you reach a relatively safe distance. You turn back and witness a line of volcanoes erupting in unison, each spewing a thick, viscous stream of lava. But the ocean offers no sanctuary. Volcanoes located near oceans are notorious for triggering tsunamis. Submarine earthquakes caused by the same tectonic forces that fuel the volcanoes create colossal waves that can travel across entire oceans. These are not waves to be trifled with. With all this red-hot lava pouring into the ocean, why hasn't all the ice in Antarctica melted? The answer lies beneath the surface. The tectonic plates under Antarctica are relatively stable. For such a large landmass, the few active volcanoes aren't enough to melt all the ice. The ice melts and sea levels rise due to warming ocean currents around Antarctica. But now, with all these volcanoes erupting at once, who knows how many more volcanoes lie hidden beneath the ice, waiting to erupt? Some are buried so deep that their presence is masked by the sheer weight of the ice. As magma rises and heats the surrounding ice, it destabilizes the entire region. The ice on the ridges cracks and groans like giant soda cans about to explode. Lava bursts through the snowy depths, creating massive fissures in the ground. The magma melts the surrounding ice, further destabilizing the ground. Slowly, inexorably, the ice around Antarctica will melt. If all the ice were to disappear, global sea levels would rise by approximately 230 feet. Coastal cities would be submerged, ocean currents would be disrupted, and extreme weather events would become more frequent and intense. Marine life would face unprecedented challenges, and many small island nations would vanish beneath the waves. And the smoke, that ever-present shroud, would spread across the globe, disrupting air travel on a massive scale. If the winds are strong enough, the entire world could be affected. Imagine a world gripped by economic collapse, a worldwide panic unfolding. Health emergencies dominate every headline, every conversation. A truly bleak picture, wouldn't you agree? Now, let's turn our attention to something equally intriguing, yet far more ancient. Antarctica. Here, in the desolate expanse of the Antarctic ice, a mysterious doorway has captured the imagination of many. Could it be, as some speculate, Bigfoot's secret retreat? Perhaps a forgotten Star Trek shuttlecraft? Or even a portal to Agartha, the fabled kingdom hidden deep within the Earth's core? But alas, scientific scrutiny often dispels such romantic notions. Geologists have stepped in to offer a far more prosaic explanation. This so-called doorway, they suggest, is simply a feature of the fast sea ice, located offshore amidst a collection of small islands and shallow waters. When ice drifts around submerged, unyielding rocks, it can create patterns that appear unusual, even otherworldly. Yet in this particular area, such formations are perfectly normal. The ice here is thin, allowing the underlying rocks to exert a significant influence on its movement. The relentless, frigid winds of Antarctica further sculpt the ice and snow, etching lines and shapes that mimic artificial structures. In essence, the mysterious doorway is nothing more than a rocky ridge, partially exposed by melting ice. The doorway's lintel is the tip of the rock itself, while the jambs are snowy trails carved by the relentless, unidirectional winds. It's essentially a stranded iceberg, slowly succumbing to the elements in a fixed location. But the Antarctic anomalies don't end there. One intrepid YouTuber stumbled upon another peculiar object more than 150 meters from the shoreline. A colossal 400-ton ice ship. The internet buzzed with speculation. Had this vessel been mysteriously transported from the infamous Bermuda Triangle? The theories ran wild, but scientific evidence remained elusive. Eventually, other online sleuths revisited the site, only to discover that the summer thaw had claimed the ship. The hypothetical vessel had simply melted away, revealing itself to be nothing more than an unusually shaped chunk of ice. And what of the pyramid, discovered on Google Maps? Before you conjure images of ancient Egyptians establishing a secret Antarctic base, prepare for another letdown. It was simply a mountain, part of the continent's largest mountain range, stretching for nearly 400 kilometers. This wasn't even the first pyramid-shaped mountain to be found in Antarctica. Explorers with the British Antarctic expedition had previously discovered a similar formation, which they simply nicknamed the Pyramid, though it lacked any true pyramidal features. But fear not, for not all Antarctic discoveries end in disappointment. Consider the massive ice shelf that reminded scientists of the Grand Canyon. A specialized submarine robot named RAN traversed over 965 kilometers beneath the thick ice, capturing breathtaking footage of icy mountains, valleys, flat plateaus, and swirling patterns sculpted entirely from ice. Among RAN's more peculiar finds were giant ball-shaped holes, or scoops, in the ice. Sadly, the research team eventually lost contact with RAN. They suspect that curious Weddell seals may have inadvertently collided with the robot, causing it to become trapped. To conserve energy, RAN likely shut down, and the scientists were unable to relocate it. However, the team remains optimistic about building a new robot to continue exploring this icy canyon, monitoring how the patterns beneath the ice evolve over time. Another immense Antarctic canyon was discovered thanks to an unexpected stroke of luck: bad weather. A team of sound experts was forced to suspend their work at the Casey Research Station due to a severe storm. Rather than idly waiting, they decided to utilize their unexpected downtime to map the seafloor near Adams Glacier. This is how they stumbled upon a canyon of truly staggering proportions. Nearly 2,133 meters deep, over 9,104 meters wide, and extending more than 45 kilometers from the glacier's edge. The initial mapping expedition only revealed a portion of the canyon before the team had to return to the research station. However, when another bout of inclement weather struck, the ship returned to the site and continued mapping. Enduring waves up to 4 meters high and incredibly powerful winds, the team managed to gather approximately 15 hours of data to complete their map. On their return voyage to Australia, they made lake, however, is rich in oxygen, even beneath the thick layer of ice. This suggests that these specific species may be entirely new to science, having evolved unique adaptations and abilities to exploit the lake's unusual chemistry. They likely depend on a remarkably simple and fragile food web. Some microorganisms may derive energy from the meager light that penetrates the ice, or from the lake's chemical composition. The symbiotic species most likely survive by living on or inside their neighbors. Even in this seemingly desolate place, microscopic creatures hunt each other. There is no peace even here. Unlocking their secrets to survival could yield profound insights into chemistry, medicine, and even the possibility of extraterrestrial life. After all, if life can endure such extreme conditions on Earth, it could potentially arise almost anywhere, including our closest celestial neighbors, such as Europa or Enceladus, the ice-covered moons of Jupiter and Saturn, both suspected to harbor vast oceans beneath their frozen surfaces. Imagine a world of ice and mystery, a continent shrouded in secrets: Antarctica. Now, scientists believe that this frozen land might hold the key to understanding life beyond our planet. In fact, exploring Antarctica is perhaps the closest we can get to extraterrestrial exploration without leaving Earth. But the mysteries don't end with Lake Enigma. Journey with us to the McMurdo Dry Valleys, often called Earth's Mars. These valleys, stretching across Victoria Land, are among the most extreme and enigmatic locations on our planet. Remarkably, unlike much of the South Pole, this region is almost entirely free of snow and ice. Instead, a vast, frigid expanse of ground dominates the landscape. Picture this: windswept sand dunes nestled amongst jagged mountains. The ground crunches underfoot, a loose gravel scattered with ancient rocks. These rocks, primarily granite and a fascinating stone called gneiss, pronounced nice, tell a story of immense pressure and heat. Gneiss, you see, is created when granite and sedimentary rocks endure unimaginable forces, a process called metamorphism. This intense pressure rearranges the minerals into beautiful layered patterns, like a geological layer cake baked by the planet itself. The McMurdo Dry Valleys have remained virtually unchanged for millions of years. They are frozen in time, offering a unique glimpse into Earth's ancient past. And within this seemingly barren landscape, life persists. Fierce winds, carrying frigid air, evaporate any snow before it can even melt. Yet, against all odds, frozen lakes and saline ponds dot the valleys, teeming with life that defies our understanding of biology. Deep inside the rocks themselves, microorganisms thrive. Endolithic bacteria, perfectly adapted to this harsh environment, reside in tiny moist cracks. Unlike their mobile counterparts, these bacteria remain stationary, drawing energy through photosynthesis, much like plants. They capture minuscule amounts of light that penetrate the rock crevices, acting as tiny solar panels. But the wonders don't stop there. Beneath the Taylor Glacier, scientists have discovered bacteria that consume nothing of the sort. No sunlight, no oxygen, not even conventional food sources. These incredible organisms subsist on a diet of dusty rocks and sulfur, breaking down these elements to fuel their bizarre metabolisms. They thrive in sub-freezing temperatures, completely isolated from sunlight, oxygen, and the outside world. Yet paradoxically, some areas within the dry valleys, such as University Valley, are so hostile that no microbial life has been found at all. Here, the permafrost is so severe that life appears to be entirely absent, a chilling reminder of the limits of existence. Now, scientists are focusing on Lake Enigma and these Mars-like environments to prepare for future missions to the Red Planet. By studying these extreme ecosystems, they hope to develop techniques for collecting samples on Mars and searching for signs of life beyond Earth. What comes to mind when you think of Antarctica? Endless expanses of ice, snow, and perhaps penguins. But this continent is one of the least explored places on Earth, concealing countless mysteries. And you don't even need to travel to Antarctica to witness some of these strange phenomena. Simply open Google Earth and navigate to King George Island, one of the southernmost islands in the region. Recently, internet users have spotted a large, intriguing cave entrance. Where does this dark passage lead? Theories abound. Is it a secret base? A hidden laboratory? The remnants of an ancient spaceship that crashed millennia ago? Or perhaps a gateway to a lost Antarctic city, concealed beneath the ice? Some speculate that a colossal rock mountain hides an ancient cave system beneath the snow. Online sleuths have even attempted to calculate the dimensions of this mysterious opening. Venture into a colossal cave, a natural cathedral possibly reaching 74 feet in height and stretching 250 feet across. Imagine, it could swallow a Boeing passenger jet whole. A creation of nature, perhaps, a logical explanation. Yet two peculiar details cast a shadow of doubt. First, observe the mountain's base. What appear to be steps, hewn from dark stone, ascend towards the gaping maw. Look closer still. Are those impressions reminiscent of human footprints? Has someone dared to enter this abyss? Or more unsettlingly, does someone still reside within? The second enigma, the vanishing entrance. First spotted on Google Maps in 2007, it disappeared, only to reappear years later. Then, it vanished again. In 2022, it was sighted once more. Could it be the work of melting snows, new falls, and the relentless sculpting of the wind? Perhaps. But those alleged steps, leading into the Earth's dark heart, sow seeds of doubt about a purely natural origin. The coordinates are readily available online. Take a virtual journey via Google Earth. Perhaps you'll glimpse something others have missed, a secret waiting to be revealed to the world. And there's more strangeness afoot, courtesy of Google Earth. In 2020, an inquisitive user stumbled upon an anomaly, a colossal object resembling a ship, stranded just 100 meters off the Antarctic coast. Encased in ice and snow, it lay on its side, eerily similar to a cruise ship. One could make out what appeared to be windows, a deck, and a bridge. But opinions diverged wildly. Some whispered of spaceships, others of clandestine installations. The original discoverer estimated its length at approximately 400 feet, the ideal dimensions for a passenger vessel. But what was it doing in this desolate, frozen realm? How did it arrive? Who commanded it? The answers remain elusive, locked within the ice. In 2016, Google Earth unveiled another Antarctic mystery, a photograph of an unidentified sea monster lurking off the coast. The creature bore a striking resemblance to a colossal squid, measuring approximately 200 feet in length. To put that in perspective, that's slightly shorter than 3 train cars linked together. Picture this kraken gliding through the inky depths of Antarctica, dragging anything in its path down to the crushing abyss. Could it be the legendary Cthulhu, or perhaps one of its monstrous offspring? Then there's the spectacle of blood falls. Against Antarctica's blinding white canvas, a crimson waterfall cascades down, an unnerving sight. But fear not, it isn't blood. For centuries, this waterfall has painted the snow a vivid red. The stream emerges directly from a pristine iceberg. Let's delve into the source of this macabre beauty. Millions of years ago, a small crystalline pond existed here. Then, a glacier enveloped it, sealing it off from the world. A thick shroud of ice and snow extinguished sunlight, heat, and oxygen. For millennia, this reservoir remained entombed in this frigid vacuum. Eventually, the water breached the icy barrier, erupting forth. When this highly saline water encounters oxygen, it undergoes a rapid transformation, turning a striking scarlet or rusty hue. Antarctica stands alone as the stage for this extraordinary natural phenomenon. Paradoxically, one of the driest places on Earth also resides in Antarctica. This is one of the most barren deserts on the planet, the McMurdo Dry Valleys. Forget scorching sun, searing sands, and resilient cacti. A desert is defined by its lack of precipitation and life, and the McMurdo Dry Valleys fit this description perfectly. But even within Antarctica, this place is unique, as you won't find glaciers here, despite the freezing temperatures. Ice struggles to form in this desert, as rain hasn't fallen for millions of years. Snow is also a rarity. Ferocious winds, hurtling down from the mountains at speeds reaching 200 mph to dominate the landscape. Standing upright would be a challenge. These winds, though carrying moisture, heat up and evaporate all liquid and snow. Only the driest air manages to reach the ground. Yet, pockets of water persist. Several lakes defy freezing, thanks to their extreme salt concentrations. The salinity is so intense that larger life forms cannot survive. However, scientists have discovered microscopic organisms thriving near these lakes. Imagine 20 million years ago, Antarctica teemed with life, layer in a process not unlike examining tree rings. The deeper the layer, the further back in time they see. Imagine traveling back in time, further and further, to a world encased in ice. To unlock the secrets of ancient atmospheres, researchers embark on a delicate mission, extracting and studying the air trapped within those frozen bubbles. The process is intricate. Samples are carefully crushed under a vacuum hood, ensuring no modern air contaminates the ancient essence. This precious air is then meticulously collected in vials, ready for analysis. The instruments used are incredibly sensitive, demanding pristine conditions. Each measurement must occur within a meticulously clean room, a sanctuary against contamination. Scientists, clad in full-body suits and multiple layers of gloves, work with focused precision. A constant flow of filtered air protects the samples because even the faintest fingerprint could compromise the integrity of the analysis. They meticulously search for patterns, subtle shifts in atmospheric composition, and temperature that reveal the Earth's climatic history. Now, consider the simple act of dropping a block of ice down a hole. Why did it produce such a peculiar sound? The answer lies in the Doppler effect, a phenomenon we experience every day. Think of a car horn. Its pitch sounds different as the car approaches and then speeds away. This apparent change in frequency occurs when an observer is moving relative to the source of the wave. The Doppler effect doesn't mean the sound's actual frequency changes, it simply shifts. While most commonly associated with sound, this principle applies to other types of waves, including water and light. In the case of the ice block, as it plunged into the depths, the sound waves it created traveled upwards. They bounced and echoed within the narrow confines of the drilled shaft, resulting in that distinctive pew-pew sound. Remember, that ice block fell 450 feet. Now, let's put that into perspective. Oil rigs routinely drill holes thousands of feet into the Earth's oceanic crust. And then there's the Kola super-deep borehole in Russia, the deepest hole ever created by humankind. It plunges more than 40,000 feet, over 7.5 miles, beneath the surface. Yet, even at that incredible depth, it only scratches the surface relative to the Earth's mantle. This colossal borehole wasn't an oil exploration venture. Drilling ceased in 1992 when engineers encountered temperatures 180 degrees hotter than anticipated. The project was abandoned, leaving behind a silent, gaping maw. It remains the closest we've ever come to piercing the planet's heart. Disturbingly, some workers at the site reported hearing disembodied voices emanating from the abyss. Far away, in the desolate landscapes of Yemen, lies another enigma, the Well of Barhout. Situated in the eastern desert, closer to Al-Mara than the capital city of Sana'a, this ancient chasm has baffled experts and locals alike. Unlike the boreholes in Russia and Antarctica, this one isn't man-made. Or is it? For generations, locals have shunned the Well of Barhout, whispering tales of misfortune befalling anyone who dares speak its name. Legend claims it serves as a prison for malevolent spirits, although many dismiss this as mere folklore. The hole itself is an imposing sight, nearly 100 feet wide and plunging to depths between 330 and 650 feet. Eerie sounds drift from its depths, fueling the local superstitions. Scientists suggest that the well's poor ventilation and lack of oxygen make it highly unlikely that anything could survive down there. In the depths of the Mariana Trench, within the Challenger Deep, researchers recorded a series of unsettling sounds in March 2016. Amidst the crushing pressure of the deepest point on Earth, a titanium-encased hydrophone captured low-pitched grumbles, followed by piercing screeches. Deployed over a period of weeks, the microphone, designed to withstand pressures 1,000 times greater than sea level, slowly descended into the abyss. For 23 days, it recorded the usual symphony of the deep, the calls of passing whales, the distant hum of ships, and the tremors of underwater earthquakes. But the origin of those initial anomalous sounds remained elusive. Were they natural phenomena or the product of human activity? And what impact did these sounds have on marine life, creatures like dolphins and whales that rely on echolocation to navigate and hunt? The mystery endures. Scientists estimate that the ocean is now 10 times noisier than it was just half a century ago. With the relentless march of technological progress, including increased shipping, submarine activity, and underwater construction, the ocean's soundscape will only continue to intensify, its depths filled with a cacophony of both natural and man-made noise. Imagine standing beneath the shimmering curtains of the aurora borealis. With time, these ethereal northern lights are accompanied by sounds, a subtle phenomenon rarely discussed. These sounds often manifest when the auroras display their most intense brilliance. For years, scientists have been mystified by the faint popping and crackling noises that accompany these celestial displays. Despite the immense distance separating us from the auroras, specialized microphones have revealed that these sounds originate a mere 230 feet above the ground, surprisingly close. These sounds arise from electrical charges amassing power within specific regions of the auroras. These electrical fields are disrupted by magnetic storms, which in turn ignite the northern lights. This disturbance releases minuscule sparks into the atmosphere, generating the faint crackling and popping we sometimes hear. But now, imagine a scene of utter chaos and panic. An emergency alert blares. Attention! Attention! Abandon all belongings and seek immediate shelter. The Antarctic continent is erupting. This is no drill. Visualize scenes of pandemonium, people running, screaming in terror, cars colliding in the streets. You find yourself on the southern coast of Australia, but the sky is an ominous, impenetrable black, stretching as far as the eye can see. A call from a friend in southern India confirms the same horrifying phenomenon. Ash rains down from the sky. A deep, unsettling rumble permeates the air, a sound far more sinister than mere hunger pangs. Driven by primal fear, people surge inland, desperately seeking escape. The all-consuming black cloud engulfs everything: cars, trees, buildings, obliterating all visibility. Confusion reigns, amplified by sheer terror. Then, a colossal tsunami crashes onto the shore, swallowing everything in its path. This is the scenario of a great Antarctic eruption. Antarctica, a vast continental desert cloaked in ice, is, in fact, the world's largest desert. Unbeknownst to many, it also conceals a multitude of volcanoes lurking beneath its icy facade. Scientists have identified 138 volcanoes in Antarctica, with 91 concealed beneath the ice and 47 visible above. The true number may be even higher. Most of these volcanoes lie dormant, having remained inactive for at least 50,000 years. The most recent eruption occurred at Mount Erebus, located in the western part of the continent. Mount Erebus, the southernmost active volcano on Earth, towers approximately 2,500 feet above sea level, equivalent to stacking the Burj Khalifa 5 times. These volcanoes are scattered across the continent. The most concentrated region spans a distance comparable to that between Canada and Mexico. Scientists have warned of the potential consequences should these subglacial volcanoes erupt. The heat would melt the West Antarctic ice sheet, triggering a massive influx of ice into the ocean, causing sea levels to rise and inundating vulnerable coastal regions already at risk. Furthermore, tectonic shifts beneath the surface could allow magma to breach the surface. It's frightening to contemplate the eruption of even one massive volcano. But what if all of Antarctica's volcanoes erupted simultaneously? Picture this. You're a scientist aboard a research vessel, en route to conduct experiments. An inexplicable unease begins to creep in. The ocean currents seem unusually strong. Glancing at your colleagues, you see shared expressions of apprehension. Upon reaching the shore and unloading your equipment, an unsettling feeling permeates the air. Despite this, the work must proceed. You arrive at the base and attempt to settle into a routine amidst the desolate landscape. Emperor penguins waddle about, engaging in their usual activities. But then, an unsettling change occurs. The penguins abruptly head towards the ocean, and flocks of Antarctic birds take flight towards the horizon. Something is terribly wrong. Suddenly, the ground begins to tremble. Behind you, a colossal plume of smoke billows into the sky. Volcanic ash poses a grave threat to those with respiratory ailments and even healthy individuals. The accompanying gases, though quickly dispersed by wind, can cause severe irritation to the eyes and throat. In such close proximity, gas masks become essential, or better yet, immediate evacuation. The gases and ash represent the most immediate and dangerous aspects of a volcanic eruption, even more so than the spewing lava and initial explosion. But don't let the beauty have once thrived on Mars. Further adding to the intrigue, in April 2020, researchers from the Japanese Space Agency discovered nitrogen-containing organic material of Martian origin within the meteorite. What other astonishing secrets might this rock hold? For now, the best course of action is to venture to Antarctica and unearth more of these cosmic treasures. Antarctica is an ideal location for meteorite hunting. Surprisingly, nearly 50,000 meteorites have already been recovered from this icy continent, with potentially hundreds of thousands more waiting to be discovered. Each meteorite holds a unique story, a chapter in the evolution of our solar system. For instance, the first lunar rock discovered in Antarctica proved that fragments of celestial bodies larger than asteroids can indeed reach Earth. So, you're inspired and ready to embark on a meteorite hunting expedition to Antarctica. Be prepared for a challenging endeavor. Despite the potential abundance of meteorites, locating them is no easy feat. You'll need to access remote, isolated regions, and even then, there's no guarantee of success. Adding to the challenge, meteorites are disappearing. Currently, scientists recover around 1,000 meteorites from Antarctica annually. However, a recent study reveals that approximately 5,000 more are being lost from sight each year, buried beneath the ice. The culprit: rising temperatures. Concerned scientists developed a sophisticated model to predict where these meteorites might resurface. This model incorporated various factors, including snow cover, surface temperature, ice flow velocity, and even the steepness of the terrain. Simulations conducted under different warming scenarios confirmed that meteorites are indeed sinking beneath the ice as temperatures increase. The scientists were understandably dismayed. They hadn't anticipated that climate change would so significantly impact their research. Despite the sub-freezing temperatures, human activity is disrupting a crucial archive of the solar system's history. If you're determined to find a meteorite, increase your chances by searching at the base of mountains or outcrops. In these areas, ice that typically flows downward is forced upwards. Be sure to bring a windbreaker, as powerful winds sweep away snow, exposing the vivid blue ice beneath. Instead of melting, this ancient ice undergoes sublimation, transforming directly into water vapor, which aids in uncovering meteorites that would otherwise remain hidden. But time is of the essence. You must hurry. Even when the temperature plunges far below freezing, meteorites resting on the surface of the Antarctic ice don't last long. These dark rocks still manage to soak up the meager sunlight, generating just enough heat to melt the surrounding ice. Imagine them carving out hidden, subterranean, or rather, subglacial tunnels for themselves. They slowly sink, disappearing from view, only for the ice to refreeze later, sealing the entrance and entombing the meteorite within its icy prison, safely hidden from prying eyes. Now, seasoned scientists will readily admit that devising effective methods for locating these space-borne treasures is exceptionally challenging, and if we don't act swiftly to develop more sophisticated techniques, we risk losing an estimated 80,000 to 250,000 meteorites to the unforgiving ice. Small wonder, then, that these researchers are on a relentless quest to discover more of them. Their efforts are focused on what they call meteorite stranding zones. These are specific locations where meteorites tend to accumulate on the surface, thanks to a unique combination of geological features, ice flow patterns, and climatic conditions. As you might already know, meteorites are often found scattered across expanses of blue ice, where the absence of snow cover makes them relatively easy to spot. But pinpointing these promising hotspots often boils down to sheer luck. Or you're stuck spending countless hours poring over maps and satellite images, desperately trying to identify blue ice zones in proximity to research stations. But let's turn our attention to Veronica Tona, a brilliant glaciologist, and her dedicated team. They're revolutionizing the search with a smart, Arctic-wide map. To accomplish this, they've harnessed the power of machine learning, feeding it a vast amount of satellite data collected by NASA, the Canadian Space Agency, and other international organizations. This sophisticated map highlights regions where meteorites are most likely to be concealed, factoring in past discoveries, climate data, and ice conditions. The data suggests that the most promising areas for meteorite hunting lie along the continent's edges and near mountainous regions with exposures of blue ice. Crucially, it's not just the presence of blue ice that matters. The temperature and speed of the ice flow play vital roles. If the ice moves too rapidly, any meteorites present are swept away before they can accumulate. To successfully locate meteorites, you need to find locations where very specific conditions prevail. For example, the surface temperature must remain below 9 degrees Celsius, 16 degrees F, for the vast majority of the time. Otherwise, the meteorites will inevitably sink and disappear. A good place to start is the Allen Hills region. This is, after all, where our famed ALH meteorite was unearthed. The area is something of a meteorite goldmine, yielding over 1,000 finds to date. Yet, even more promising locations remain virtually unexplored, such as the formidable Fimbulheimen Mountains. You could be the first to ever search there. To aid future expeditions, the research team has developed a Where to Go index that ranks the most promising meteorite hunting spots. With countless blue ice regions still awaiting exploration, countless meteorites are waiting to be discovered. So, what are you waiting for? Now, let's shift gears to another Antarctic mystery. A sleek, state-of-the-art submarine, christened Ron, was deployed to explore the hidden depths beneath the Antarctic ice. But soon after, it made a groundbreaking discovery. It mysteriously vanished. What could have happened? The story begins with scientists eager to explore one of the most remote and enigmatic locations on our planet, the Dotson Ice Shelf in West Antarctica. This colossal ice shelf, a silent giant, stretches an imposing 30 kilometers in width, nearly the length of New York City. Wedged between the Martin and Bear Peninsulas, it conceals an entire world of geological mysteries. If you imagine Antarctica as nothing more than a desolate expanse of thick snow and ice, you're sorely mistaken. Entire landscapes lie hidden far below the surface. The underside of the Dotson ice shelf is a dynamic, rugged terrain sculpted by the relentless forces of nature. Towering ice formations, deep troughs, and bizarre structures stretch for hundreds of feet. Scientists are understandably captivated by this hidden world. But, as you can imagine, exploring this subterranean landscape is no easy feat. To glean any information, we've had to rely on satellite scans or attempt to drill through the immense ice, painstakingly piecing together a fragmented picture. But these methods have only provided vague clues. The real breakthrough came when scientists conceived the idea of using submarines as explorers. Autonomous submersibles could venture deep into the icy waters beneath the Dotson ice shelf, providing a first-hand look at this alien realm. Equipped with fantastic advanced sonar systems, similar to how bats and dolphins see. These robotic explorers can use sound to map the world around them, emitting sound waves. Imagine the underwater world, a realm of perpetual motion where waves propagate ceaselessly. As these waves encounter obstacles, the imposing ice shelf above or the seabed below, they ricochet, sending echoes back to those who know how to listen. Nature has gifted certain marine creatures with this ability, a sophisticated sonar system. These animals perceive the duration it takes for sound waves to return, discerning subtle alterations in their form. This provides invaluable information, painting a vivid picture of the surrounding environment. Consider the dolphin, a master of this skill. The clicks it emits serve as beacons, pinpointing the location of its prey with remarkable precision. We, as humans, have borrowed this ingenious evolutionary trick, adapting it for our own underwater explorations. But our version, it's far more advanced, boasting an unparalleled level of accuracy. We've crafted intricate maps of the ocean floor, revealing hidden landscapes with astonishing clarity. The robotic submarine known as Ran was one such explorer. Named after the Norse goddess of the sea, Ran was meticulously programmed for a perilous journey beneath the Antarctic ice. Yet, despite its sophisticated design and extensive preparation, Ran's voyage would ultimately lead to an unforeseen and unsettling conclusion. In 2019, Ran was deployed to explore the hidden depths beneath the Dotson ice shelf. It was a pioneer, venturing where no machine had gone before. The team described the experience as akin to witnessing the far side of the moon, a realm previously unknown. For 27 relentless days, Ran tirelessly gathered data, traversing